What is going on, everyone? Tim from Triforce Orbital. So today's going to be a relatively quick demo walkthrough video for an install commission that I completed on a Jawas Junkyard Master Sword. This is the Master Sword from Zelda. Zelda fans will recognize this right off the bat. So this has been installed with a Proffie V3, and that is inside of a chassis of my own design. So I'm not going to come into Fusion and talk about the chassis during this video. I feel like I have done that in numerous previous Master Sword demo videos for this particular chassis. It is the same chassis. This particular chassis has a 24mm speaker. Other than that, it is exactly the same, right? I have done this in resin. It also has a translucent yellow Triforce that is lit in it. So yeah, we're not going to waste too much time coming into Fusion and talking about it. However, I do want to talk about, well, we're going to come up top and talk about how to use it, right? How to talk. We're going to talk about how to put it into the hilt and how to use it and all of that good stuff, right? I did do, I modified the hilt in that I have put a momentary switch in this install. This is typical of my installs on this hilt. This hilt does ship with a very, very small plunger that is meant to be, I believe it is meant to be a magnetic plunger switch. And that, in my opinion, is not the easiest solution, especially with this hilt. So when I do installs on this particular Master Sword hilt, I do like modifying it to have a momentary switch. It is a lot easier to use. It is far more reliable. So I will talk about that as well, right? So with all of that out of the way, let's come up top and talk about the hilt. All right, so here it is. This is the Master Sword from Jawas Junkyard. This is a large hilt. Big, solid block of milled aluminum up top here, but however, an accurate representation of the Master Sword, in my opinion, right? So for this particular install, I did add the leather wrap that is included with the hilt. Now, Leon from Jawas Junkyard does include two different types or sets of rings for this grip. I added the gold rings. In my opinion, this looks better. There is a set of blue anodized rings as well. So I have included those with the hilt, and I will ship them back, obviously, right? And all of the greeblies have been added as well, right? So these gold greeblies up top, the rupees or gems, rather, these aren't rupees. The gems around the emitter have been added, and yeah, that's it, right? So, great looking hilt, great accurate representation of the Master Sword, right? So here is that momentary switch, right? I have added this myself, and I've modified the hat or the button of the switch to be blue, right? So this is just a blue momentary switch. A far more reliable switch solution than just having a magnetic drop-in plunger switch. I'm just not ever really a fan of magnetic drop-in plunger switches. They're a huge pain to use, right? You've got to rely on, you got to make sure you're putting the chassis in the correct orientation, and then you've got to worry about dropping in a plunger, and if you lose it, you can't use the hilt. And so I prefer having an actual dedicated switch, and that's what I've done for this one. That's what I do in all of my installs for this particular hilt, right? So let's talk about how we get at the chassis. So the chassis is already in this hilt. You want to unthread your pommel, right? Here is our chassis. So this chassis has been done in resin. It has a metallic blue color scheme done to it. Here is that yellow translucent Triforce that I designed in Fusion and printed in yellow translucent resin. It is lit from above with a single micro Neopixel. I get those from Shadowfoilprops. And that is it, right? Here is our battery tray. Proffie board is around back. This is a Proffie V2 build, rather. I mentioned that was a Proffie V3 at the top of the video. This is a Proffie V2. 24mm speaker at the bottom. And there is a 6-rail PCB up top. I get these from Stardust Sabers. Okay? And that is it. There is no kill switch in this build. There is no kill switch in this build. There is no room for it in this particular build. There's pretty tight, right? I did go with an 18350 battery in this build, so no room for a kill switch. You are the kill switch when you put the battery in. This chassis has been sized for a flat top, protected 18650 battery. Okay, so to put your battery in, negative is down towards the speaker. So put your negative side down towards the speaker. That will power up the chassis. See that Triforce is lit. Okay, so once you have your battery in, you can put your chassis in any orientation you want, and then put your pommel on, and then you're all set. Okay, so let's come down to the bottom. So there's a closer look at that giant, massive upper section of that hilt. Great representation of the Master Sword, though. And I do like how we get some shine through in that emitter, or that gem emitter up there. See what else we put on here. I think there's mostly Zelda themed fonts on here at the request of the customer. Okay. I think it's Final Fantasy VII. Very nostalgic sound. So I do not have a blade for this hilt. Devin Clark at the Saber Trade did do blades for this run. I don't have a blade to put in this hilt. However, you can put a 1-inch blade in it, and let's do that just to show how the emitter works, right? So you can put a 1-inch blade in here if you want, okay? There are 2 set screw holes on each side of the emitter. These set screws were never included with the hilt. I actually have not had a Master Sword come to me where these were included. I think that they are M2 set screws. They're very, very small, okay? So they were not included. However, it is tight enough to hug a blade. So I am gonna put a blade in and we'll do a quick demo, right? So 1-inch blade, just gonna rest it on those PCB pins and we'll be good to go. Man, this thing is really top heavy. All right, see what else we got on here.
Cloud.
Now this is pod racing.
All right, so that is it. That is the Master Sword from Jawas Junkyard. I have actually yet to see one of these with the blade that was made for it in person, but I'm sure it looks really, really cool. It's like a Neopixel blade, so I'm sure it looks really, really, really awesome, right? So that is it. That is the Master Sword from Jawas Junkyard. So to the customer, Thank you very much for your patience and trusting me with your install. If anyone has any questions about this particular install or anything really, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Thanks for watching, everybody.